Fall is a season of transformation, a time when daylight fades, the air turns crisp, leaves fall, and the landscape ignites in shades of amber, crimson, and gold. But here on the Wildlife Homestead, fall isn't just about the colors. It's a season of survival, adaptation, and the quiet yet powerful connection that weaves together every plant, animal, and moment. This fall, every leaf, drop of rain, and rustle in the brush told a story, and we were there to witness it. This fall brought us moments of resilience, new visitors, and stark reminders of life's impermanence. Early in the season, we completed our first achievable project on the property since moving in, the creation of our bird sanctuary. Hopper feeders, platform feeders, suet cages, and water baths all came together to create a haven for the residents and migrant birds visiting the property. The hopper feeders attracted house finches, California scrub jay, and oak titmouse. Suet blocks offered high-energy meals to nuthatches and woodpeckers, and the water trays, simple yet vital, became a lifeline during an unusually dry start to fall. As temperatures remained unseasonably warm, these water trays became more than just a convenience. They became essential. Mammals, often nocturnal and cautious, ventured out for a thirst-quenching drink. Raccoons washed their paws, even better than most people. Gray foxes drank silently under the cover of darkness, and even skunks made appearances. The highlight of these visitors, however, had to be the black bears, one with a taste for the camera. Who knew a camera could suffice for a chew toy? What started as a space for birds, to our surprise and enjoyment, quickly became a microcosm of the homestead's ecosystem, a reminder that even small wildlife management acts can ripple outward through the landscape in meaningful ways. Birds like the western bluebird, who are mainly insectivores during the summer, and can sometimes be enticed to a backyard feeder filled with mealworms, seem more interested in a drink this fall. Oak titmouse, not being bashful, made their presence known. And California quail, our state bird, not wanting to miss out, also came to pick up the leftovers. Fall's dry and hot beginning gave way at last to the season's first significant storm. Rain hammered the roof, drenched the soil, and filled every crevice with needed water. Seemingly, the Jeffrey pines enjoyed this reprieve the most, their browning needles beginning to show the stress of our summer. When the storm clouds cleared and the soil was still damp, we took advantage of the perfect conditions to plant 2 wildflower meadows. So I got 2 sacks each of the California native wildflower mix. I'll put 1 in the lower meadow and 1 sack in the upper meadow, and we'll see how they fare this spring. These plots were planted with a mix of native wildflower seeds, specifically chosen for our region, and other native seeds handpicked from our property this past summer. Wildflower species selected for our Sierra Nevada foothill landscape included a balance of annuals and perennials, helping ensure steady blooms throughout the growing season, which in turn should better support pollinators throughout the year. Early flowers like baby blue eyes and five-spot will appear first, while late bloomers like elegant Clarkia will keep the nectar flowing through the summer's end. We selected some well-known species like California poppies, globegilia, and arroyo lupin, along with lesser-known but equally valuable plants like California goldenfields and white yarrow. Each species serves a role, providing nectar for pollinators, shelter for insects, and seed for birds. As mentioned, many of these seeds were also hand-harvested from our property this past summer, including lupin species and milkweed. And because all these species are native, they'll be well adapted to our climate and soil. With the seeds in the ground and the rain soaking in, all we could do now was wait, and trust that nature will do what it does best: proliferate life. Factors like sunlight, rainfall, and temperature will shape how the meadow blooms each year, meaning no 2 seasons will look exactly alike. And that's part of the fun of it. It will always be changing. Our hope is, though, that these meadows will further build something special here, the ecological resilience of our wildlife homestead. As the days continued to shorten and the first chill crept into the air, a subtle but extraordinary event unfolded above and amidst the wildlife homestead, the Great Fall Migration. For countless birds, this season's journey is not just a choice, but a matter of survival. In the Sierra Nevada foothills, our property became a rest stop for these migrants and wintering travelers. The first wintering migrants to arrive were the white-crowned sparrows, their bold black and white striped head bobbing up and down as they foraged in and around the feeder stations. These sparrows have traveled from their summer grounds in the Sierra or beyond, reminding us of the resilience packed into such small bodies. Scientists have discovered that white-crowned sparrows can fly up to 300 miles in a single night, a feat that seems almost mythical for a bird weighing less than an ounce. Talk about inspiration for a New Year's resolution goal here, people. This just amazes me. Not long after, dark-eyed juncos fluttered in, tiny gray-brown birds with their easily recognizable white tail feathers, flashing like upside-down V's when in flight. They're affectionately known as snowbirds in some circles, as their arrival signals a change of season across much of North America. Descending from higher elevations and northern forests to winter in our mild foothill climate and across much of the lower belt of the United States. For a brief, fleeting moment, Townsend's warblers graced us with their presence. These striking birds, with their bright yellow faces and black masks, are known for their sharp insect hunting skills. They flittered through the oak canopy and pines, gleaning insects in a dance of agility. Townsend warblers are medium to long-distance migrants, traveling all the way from their breeding grounds in British Columbia and the Pacific Northwest to wintering habitats in Mexico and Central America. Then, in late fall, a flock of cedar waxwings arrived. I heard them first before even seeing them. Their silky feathers and elegant crests stood out as they perched high in one of our white oak trees. Waxwings are social creatures, rarely seen alone, and their synchronized movements and soft, high-pitched calls create an almost musical scene in our trees. They love to eat fruit, which reminds me, I'm lacking small fruiting shrubs, such as dogwood or serviceberry, something to add to the list for future plantings. The fall migration is one of nature's most impressive phenomena. For birds, it's a journey filled with risk, storms, exhaustion, and dwindling food supplies, but also with purpose and instinct honed over millennia. Here in the Sierra Nevada foothills, we're privileged to witness just a fragment of this grand spectacle, and lucky to host some wintering species for a short time. In reflecting on this migration, one cannot help but feel humbled by the sheer determination of these birds. Each carries with it a story of endurance, instinct, and an unwavering drive to survive. As the last waxwing disappeared into the horizon, and the nights grew colder, the air carried with it a profound stillness. Migration reminds us that life moves in cycles, always forward, always adapting. And here at our wildlife homestead, we are simply caretakers, witnessing, serving, and marveling at the incredible stories that pass through our little corner of the world. By mid-fall, our pond had begun its seasonal retreat, the edges receding, revealing muddy banks and hidden rock features we don't usually see. The once abundant macrophytes that dominated summer have now been reduced, mudflats submerged, and the edges transformed into feeding grounds for opportunistic visitors, their nightly routines left visible in the mud by their tracks. Mallards and Canada geese now dominate the pond. Mallards are among the most adaptable waterfowl species in North America. As omnivores, they exploit shrinking ponds for submerged seeds, insects, and aquatic vegetation. And then there was the solitary great blue heron, a patient hunter whose stillness belays its lethal precision. It and the kingfisher still claim the title for best fisher of the pond, no matter my efforts for a lunker bass this past season.
Nice catch, PJ. Look at that. It's as big as my hand.
Bluegill!
All right.
Acorns are fall's currency, rich in calories, fats, and proteins. For many wildlife, they're the difference between survival and starvation through the winter. And it was a boomer crop of acorns this year. If you follow old wives' tales, a forecast of wet and cold winter is predicted to occur. The white, or valley oaks, were the real producers this fall, starting to drop their acorns early and steadily dropping them throughout the end of fall. As if not to be outdone, the black oaks picked up some steam towards the end of fall, but never surpassed the valley oak production in sheer abundance and size. These oak forces combined, however, resulted in a thick blanket of acorns covering the ground in masses. We gathered as many as we could collect in a container. Some acorns were used by the boys to dry and make acorn meal out of, and the others redistributed into a 45-pound pile of foraging fun to whichever wildlife found them first. Deer, gray squirrel, and even black bears rely heavily on acorns as a source of food in the fall. In fact, during the fall feeding frenzy, a single bear can consume tens of thousands in the season, storing pounds of fat reserves for the winter hibernation. In fact, in fall, every animal is racing against time. Calories are currency, and survival is the ultimate transaction. She shouldn't have survived. I rode her off this past summer when I first saw her and her fawns on a morning run. A doe with a broken leg faces insurmountable odds. Yet, here she is, still eating her fawns, still grazing, still alive. Her resilience is staggering, even if it's painful to observe her struggle. Each step is a reminder that life doesn't stop for injuries. It adapts. New to our cameras this fall, a target species for our wildlife homestead wish list, a bobcat. Secretive, powerful, and perfectly adapt to move unseen. My condensation-prone trail camera not helping much to capture this elusive cat. Bobcats are apex and bush predators, maintaining the balance by controlling rodent and rabbit populations. Prey often includes small rodents, as well as cottontails, ground squirrels, marmots, and tree squirrels. Opportunistically, it will take quail, grouse, and in special circumstances even deer. If prey is abundant, its hunting territories can be as small as 5 square miles, but will require larger territories when prey is scarce. Bobcats normally mate in winter, often resulting in 2 to 3 kittens. What a special species to welcome to our homestead. Mule deer are very active in fall. Acorns dominate their diet as they prepare for the winter. Mating also occurs during this time. And as the rut kicked into high gear, bucks became a more regular sight on the trail cameras. Competing bucks do fight, however these toughs rarely result in any lethal injuries to each other. By early January, the mating season ends, and the bucks will shed their antlers by the end of winter. Nature isn't sentimental. Later in the season, near the pond's edge, we found a deer carcass. Well, I guess truthfully, the boys found a deer leg first, about a football field away from the carcass we later found, stripped to the bone by turkey vultures. Perhaps it was the doe with the broken leg. Perhaps not. Nature doesn't leave us with all our questions answered, but it does leave us with lessons learned and realities to ponder about life. Time will tell if that was our injured doe, and I've already been wrong once about her, so maybe she'll surprise us again with a visit. Fall isn't just a season, it's a chapter of life, a story of resilience, preparation, and survival. As the ecology of this place prepares for winter, we're left with gratitude for the opportunities to care for this land, for the wildlife, and every life touched by this wild place.